Hi, this is Roger. I don't do bonsai videos very often because as a hobby there's not a lot to do for quite a lot of the year, but it's coming round to repotting time. Now this poor tree has been badly neglected. In fact, I haven't looked at this tree properly maybe 6 years, and that also was the last time it was repotted. It desperately needed repotting last spring. And unfortunately, there's an optimum time with maples. This is Acer Palmatum Deshojo. Lovely red leaves when they come out in a minute. And I need to get this done before they come out. Unlike last year, several bonsai got repotted and got filmed, and they got trimmed. And then I had a break. I've got 200 orchids to look after in the meantime, and by the time I got round to this one, the one I should have done first, the leaves were fully open, and quite honestly in my book that's too late. You need to catch the buds as they're swelling, and there's some good logic there. In the autumn the tree draws back in all the nutrients that it's put into the leaves. It draws back in all that energy and the sugars and stuff, takes it down to the base of the plant and into the root system while it's dormant for the winter. Sort of makes sense. And then in the spring, you've heard the expression the sap is rising. Well, that's exactly what happens. All that stored energy and all those sugars gets pushed back up into the tree to push the buds out. Well, at that point when those buds start to swell, the roots aren't doing so much. They've sort of done their job. So disturbing them at that time does make sense. Now the neglect on this tree means it's got leggy. The branches have moved away from the centre part of the tree. You know, we've got wildlife on one of the branches. Oh well, it's only a little spider, he can stay. So getting it back in shape is going to take quite a few years. I don't know how many yet, but I pruned it in such a way last spring. I wish I'd repotted it as well, but I missed my chance. But I pruned it in such a way to force the energy back down the branches. I left a few sap drawers, as they're called, you know, some healthy bits on the end of the branches to make sure the sap continued to flow. But what I was hoping for was a lot of back budding. Well, in the main, the trick has worked. I've got a lot of new growths on quite a few of the branches. So the ends of those branches can now be pushed back, taking these leads off, yeah, which will force those to grow and reshape the branches. And quite a lot of pretty good growth down near the base of some of these. So a repot now. This was the branch that I was hoping to get a lot more back budding on, and I got one. One's not good enough. But hopefully by taking the energy out of the ends of these branches and leaving a bit on the end of this one this year, it should continue to back bud, and then that will fill out that branch. As far as the shape's concerned, it's not too bad overall. It's just got leggy. It's extended too far away from the main trunk. So I need to get it back in and re-establish the lovely layers that you get on maples. That's the ultimate goal, is to get lovely layers with some gaps that you can see through. Not a solid mass of leaves. That doesn't work. That's a bush, not a bonsai. So got a bit of work to do on this, but the first job is to get it repotted. I can't film that. I'll have to do it outside because it's going to be a mess. But you can guarantee when this type of moss starts growing, your media's had it. Yeah? It's waterlogged. It's got no air left in it. It's compacted. It's had it. This type of moss isn't too bad. It helps keep the media moist. But when you get this type, you've had it really. Your media's gone. And quite honestly, this should have been repotted 3 or 4 years ago. What state these roots are going to be in, I have no idea. What I suspect I will get is an absolute solid mass, and it's going to take me ages to tease out all the old media without tearing all the root tips off. So I will do that cautiously outside. I've got a feeling there might be some major surgery coming up on this. Looking at the tree from here, there is an apex, and this branch is technically part of it, but that branch is ugly. It was chopped at some point. Yeah, first of all it was allowed to extend with no shape whatsoever, so it's got this long straight shiny bit, and then it was chopped, and probably forgotten after that point. So there is a stump here that is ugly, and I've got a feeling I'm just going to take that back. I'm just sort of looking at it now. See, once the leaves are out, if that bit was missing, it's not going to show that much. And I do have quite a few new growths at the base of this. So if I take that back at an angle and allow these to push on, I can get more of a shape into this space. This back branch is far too big. That is the back of the plant. That extends upwards and outwards far too much. But I can't go mad with that branch this year, because the back budding, although there is some down here which I will allow to grow, I still need the sap to push up through here. So I'll probably take these bits off here. But anyway, let me get it repotted. If you want to see me repotting bonsai, go back to this time last year, and quite honestly I've kept my bonsai videos separate to the orchid ones. There is a playlist. If you go to my home page for the channel, Roger's Orchids, there's a playlist to do with all the bonsai vids, so they're all collected together in one place if you're interested in that sort of thing. So it's out in the garden, messy time, and then we'll get on to the instruments of torture and see what we can do to it. As I say, this is about a 3-year project starting last spring, and my efforts don't seem bad. There's a couple of dead bits on it that can come off. I doubt if there's any life in that. No, that's dead. So some trimming, just keep pushing it back all the time until eventually I get my shape back. It's a pity this branch is so far away from the tree, because that, when the leaves open, is a gorgeous layer. But it's just, you know, it's got too far away. It needs pushing back a bit. But I won't push this lower branch back too far, because quite honestly that needs to be the farthest point away from the trunk. The lower branches need to also to be the widest on a maple, and then gradually tapering up to a nice sort of domed apex, which is the goal. I won't achieve it this year, but by next year this tree should be looking pretty good. Okay, so I'll come back to this when I've done the repotting and just show a bit of the trimming and the logic. I changed my mind. I mean, although I don't mind talking to myself in the house, I don't like doing it in the garden, but there's no reason to film, not to film, sorry, and then add the soundtrack in. So I've prepared my pot, I've got some straining wires to strap the thing in, and I've got my little drainage hole covers. I've retained some of the moss because I want to try and re-establish that. So yeah, the pot's sort of ready, and now all we got to do is get the plant in it. So what I've done is I put some very coarse grit over those drainage areas, and then I've used a product called Ceramis to just get a layer on the bottom. Now Ceramis is baked clay. It's a bit like Akadama in bonsai world. And I've got my mix. This is all sorts in here. It's slightly acidic, suitable for maples, and I was always told by a good friend, you can tell when you've got enough grit in your mix because you can hear it. It will have that scratchy, coarse sound. So there's a lot of grit in here for drainage, and it helps the roots branch. So that's sort of ready to go. And I was well pleased with the root system. Surprised and well pleased. It's quite a good fibrous root system. I haven't got all the old media out. It's absolutely impossible. But I want this to look like a tree on a hill. If that makes sense. That's my feet. You're not supposed to be looking at them. I sometimes forget when I'm doing something with one hand that I've actually got the camera in the other hand. So I'll apologise for this bit. You're supposed to be looking at this. That's more like it. I'm just trying to get a mound, but with the camera in my hand, mucking about is not so easy. I want this to be like on a hill, so I need a good mound there, but I don't want it so high that it sort of sticks up in the air. It's not supposed to look like it's on a mountain, so I'm just spreading that media out. Sorry it's off camera. I'm out of practice filming this sort of thing. So I've just spread that out to lower it, and then again put the tree on, check what it looks like. Is it at the right height yet? Yeah, just keep playing with it until you're happy, bearing in mind it will drop a bit when it's wired. Those wires will pull it down into the media and get all those lower roots into the media. So yeah, I think I'm reasonably happy with that. I want the best roots showing from the front, so that's about right, I think. And that's it done. I've top dressed it with grit because it stops the snails and slugs climbing up the tree, and I'm hoping to re-establish some of that moss near the base of the tree and make it look like a grassy mound. I made a major mistake. That chip out of the pot was supposed to be around the back, but I paid £5 for this pot second hand, which I don't think's bad, and next time I repot it the chip can go around the back. There we go then.